Hello, Hairbrain World. We had a little technical difficulty, so for those of you who are waiting, thank you for being patient. I am just getting kind of started on this haircut. This was sort of a fun project we did with Loopy Voss. Gino Chapman was around, Matthew Kazarian. We had a really good weekend at the Hairbrain Video Awards, and I wanted to give you guys a special treat. One, I wanted to do a cool razor cut with you, but the other is I wanted to share some fun color. So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention out there and know who the musical artist Billie Eilish is, but her color is super trending. And so I had Loopy Voss do what I consider this sort of elongated hot root for this live exclusively, and I've got a video on how she did it exactly that I'm going to publish probably tonight, so you can see that color journey. But this is the hair cutting portion, and I really wanted to do something that was technical, that had some precision to it, but then had some softness. So I'm doing essentially a precision razor box bob. We did a bit of an undercut underneath here. Just kind of took all that away to give her a little bit more of a floaty feel. And now I'm just going through and I am putting this razor line on top of the existing guide that I have. So you can see that hair is coming over, and I'm going to cut that. So you can see my guide, or you should be able to see my guide underneath what I'm cutting now. Drop this down, and the hair comes away. Because I went in and I went ahead and had a nice strong line put in, you're going to notice that my razoring is a little bit more kind of open and aggressive. I'm going to grab some water real quick. It's nice and damp. But I did have my guide sort of already established underneath here. You can kind of see it like that. Now I know this title says bangs, right? So let's go ahead and bring her around to the front. You can see I already kind of started in with this fringe, and I chose this length for a couple of reasons. One is in the consultation, I sort of moved, my hand up her head to kind of find where's that perfect sweet spot with her eyes, and it's about right there. Then I communicated that to Loopy Voss, and she did the color based off of that and the placement of the fringe. So it all sort of starts with the fringe and the eyes, and then the whole haircut and color was reverse engineered from there.
And then we have a couple people tuning in right now. We have Lorraine Hume. Lupe Voss is tuning in, saying she already misses you guys.
Oh, I miss Loopy too. Loopy had to head back home to California today, and so she couldn't be here for this live, but her color is here and she's with us in spirit.
Morgan Roy just tuned in.
Hello, Morgan. I hope you guys made it back. Morgan was here for the video awards. We had a really great evening on Sunday night. Lots of great music, some great hair, and great networking. The Hairbrain Video Awards. If you haven't gone, you need to plan for next year. It's the best social media networking event of the year. What I really like about it is, all the people that you see digitally online every day, you actually get to connect with them in real life and make real friends with them. So that's one of my favorite things about the Video Awards, and it's just nice to kind of connect with those people, and thank you guys for tuning in today. So I'm just dampening this hair. Again, for me, when I'm cutting with the razor, there's a lot of stigma around the razor, and I want to go ahead and talk about that and just get it out in the open. A couple things that people say when they hear a razor is they immediately are concerned around damage. Will it damage the hair? And this is something I've said for a long time, and I'll continue to say. The razor does not damage the hair. Hairdressers damage the hair. Okay, so for me, whenever I'm teaching this, and I really want to try to communicate that it's all about the hairdresser and it's all about hair prep, right? So you want the hair to be damp and you want your razor to be brand new. Every single haircut I do has a brand new blade on it, and that keeps that blade sharp and fresh for each haircut. The number one thing that really damages the hair is a dull razor, as well as dry hair. Some hair can certainly handle dry, but for most people, having an evenly damp hair shaft is going to help the blade go through just so much easier. All right, so now I'm just kind of combing. Now you'll notice I'm using the fine teeth of my comb. What I'm kind of trying to do is create like sort of a flat, almost like I imagine it like it's paper. I want to create a flat surface area. Then I want to start moving the blade up and down, up and down. You'll notice my thumb is not underneath here, it's just on the side, right? So this is essentially how I'm holding it. For those barbers out there, you're used to holding your blades like this. This is a different technique. I'm actually going to use these two fingers here. Thumb goes on the side. And my mechanic is very much like signing my autograph, right? So I'm signing my name, but instead of signing my name, Tatum, I'm going to imagine my name is MW, which is impossible to pronounce, but it speaks to the motion of the blade, right? So it's up, down, up, down, up, down. Kind of like, I think of it a little bit like trimmers, Mike, or clippers, right? So it's constantly moving, there's constantly rhythm, and then I press into the hair with that movement. And that's how I do all my razor cuts, and that's how I can execute precision and texture at the same time.
Can we talk about that specific razor?
Yeah, so this is a new thing. It's a prototype I have for Elevate Hair. It's very similar to a feather plie. It takes the same blades. It's just slightly different, and I'm allowed to do a little bit of branding on it. So this should be coming out soon in the summer, and I'm really just kind of testing it out. The weight and the balance, very similar to a plie if you ever had it. And if you guys are interested, go check out the Elevate Hair Pro Shop, and it'll be there in the near future.
Another question we have coming is about changing your razor. And do you change your razor for every haircut?
Yes, I change my razor literally for every haircut. You know, this blade, which is a feather plie box, I don't know if I have one around. I think I hit it, it's okay. It's like in a little blue box. And they're the sharpest blades on the market for about one haircut. And then they're dull. Okay, it's not a very high-end metal. So you can't, it's not like a pair of scissors that last for years. It's gonna last for about one haircut and then it's gonna go away. Down to my last section on the top. And I'm gonna go back into the back and make sure it's perfectly square in the back as well. I just wanna get this side first, and then we'll switch to the other side with our fringe. We'll start with the fringe and then move into the sides, okay? Just put your head in a natural position. And this is something you'll hear me say with my clients and models. I like for their head to be in a natural position. Would you do me a favor and just tilt your head down for me just 1 second? So once I have our head tilted down, it's gonna throw off my angle. So a lot of people, they start in the back and they go to the front. And when they hit this front and the person's head is still down, can you tip your head up? All of a sudden that line that you thought was A-line or square is now rounded in the front. So you'll hear me say that language a lot. Put your head in a natural position. Once I do that, then I can move her left to right. So head in natural position. If I need more space here, I want to get in there, I can have her tilt her head away. Pro tip, this happens a lot when you have a client and you push their head, their whole body moves this way. So what I like to do is have my one hand kind of brace her neck this way, and then I lightly push so she kind of understands that I don't want to push her away, I just want to tilt her head, and that's how we do it. So we'll start again. Can you put your head back in a natural position, please? Perfect, relax. And then I just kind of push away, and that gets me more space into that tight little spot. Again, using the fine teeth of the comb, coming straight out from the head. Let that hair kind of fall out. Start my motion, and then I start combing at the hair. And you can see the kind of texture that we've got here, right? So it's a little softer up here. It's not as blunt. But because we have that strong foundation and perimeter, I've got a nice, look at that. It's a really pretty nice line here. Nice and clean, but texturized, right? So it's not overly blunt. And that's gonna fit in with the rest of the haircut. So now I'm gonna spin you around, and we're gonna start with this side, okay? So we already did the front fringe area. We did a little bit of a fun makeup using the new lip balm. We did a full face, and then we did the lip balm, so you can see she's got that kind of wet, dewy look on the eyes, and that's with our new, it's kind of that little shimmery, I think we did the gold flake lip balm, I believe. Really pretty, and we'll have a little bit of that video later. So I'm gonna comb this down. I'm trying to sort of avoid the lip balm. This is an editorial look, right? So I wanna try to not get it in there. I'm gonna use my clip here to push this away. And I'm just gonna kind of visually reference where we were before, right? So there's the fringe. See, I got a little bit of guide here. I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna start with the back of my blade, and I push this way. So nice, even tension, moving the blade, and I'm just starting to lightly press into the hair and slowly kind of erase that away. And you can see, if you remember earlier, the difference in the texture, right? So this is a little bit more blunt than we had before. The last piece of hair I showed you was much more texturized and diffused. The reason being is this is her foundation. This is the foundation of her fringe. I don't want to overdo it. So for the most part, you'll see me moving in that type of way, not overly aggressive, so that I can get a nice bit of strength in her fringe. Fringe or bang? I'm indifferent. What do you guys think? Do you guys say fringe or bang out there? No one wants to chime in?
No one yet, but we do have a little bit of questions about those clips that you're using.
Yeah. These are, this is new. This is the new Elevate Hair Gold Clip. They're awesome.
Rebecca Long tuning in saying, I need that razor Tatum.
Hey Rebecca, just sit tight, it'll come later. We'll have it in a few months. We'll have it by Elevate Hair Fest for sure. Working with them now. We're gonna change a couple little things on the printing. It'll be there, it's awesome. I'm glad you like it. I want to talk a little bit about this color because Lupe did such an amazing job. She used Aveda's new Vibrant line, which I am officially obsessed with. It's a deposit-only color. It's absolutely radiant. It shimmers, it shines. It actually conditions the hair. So for those clients and models that have, are doing a lot of bleaching, typically this fashion color can stress the hair out. This is going to be nice and conditioning for the hair. We've had it for about a year now, and Lupe is one of my favorite artists to work with because she really understands it and she has such great advice. You'll see tonight, I'm going to try to post that video in at Aveda Artists so you can see how she did the color exactly. And a lot of it was the foil placement, and that's a really neat process. And then one thing that's not on the video, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what she did, I hope that's okay, is once she rinsed this color out, she took the raw color in the tube and sort of kind of, I don't want to say haphazardly, but she sort of worked it into wet hair, right? So typically this is applied dry, so it really penetrates in. At the bowl, she kind of went in with some color, and what that did is that created a little bit of dimension. And you can kind of see here how there's a little bit of variation in the color, right? And that makes it not look too sort of static and monochrome. That was a really neat little touch that I missed in the video. I just want to tell you guys about it now. So here we have the fringe. We've got one half that's a bit dry, one half that's not. So what I'm going to do is just dry this. So I've got this dryer that's got a silencer on it so it won't be so loud. And I did not plan for it to match the hair, but it definitely does. And I'm just using my wide teeth of the comb to get that down. Now, because she has that sort of dewy eye, I want to try to not do a scissor cut on her because I don't want to try to get too much hair in her makeup. Switch to the wide teeth, get a little bit more tension on the hair. And even if I'm working in a client setting, typically I like to do the fringe first. It's kind of the most important part of the haircut. It's what she sees the whole time. So if she's my client, she wants something new, or even we're touching up her fringe from before, I'm gonna do that right away. And I can't tell you how important that is as a hairstylist to sort of think in that way. The bangs are the most important part, you know? It's what she sees every single day. And I find that as hairdressers, we often sort of do that last. And we tend to rush that. And for me, if she's looking at my work every single day, that's the most important thing. The back of the head, she's probably not gonna see very often, right? So this part has to be really high, really well executed. So I always lead with the fringe and see if I need to make any adjustments. So it's pretty good, nice and textured. I'm gonna go back through towards the end and clean up a little bit. You can see I've got a little bit of extra bits of hair there. I'm gonna try to do that in a clever way where I don't get it into her eyes, into her eye makeup.
We have a lot of love for the color that's being done right now, and I think
Yeah.
Lupe dropped the formula in there.
Did you?
If Tatum wants to read it out loud.
Yeah, here, let me see this. All right, the formula, Aveda Vibrance 80 gram clear, plus 80 grams Lagoon, 10 grams of yellow, which was a surprise to me when I heard that, and 10 grams of cobalt. One thing I'll say about the Vibrance is when I see people out in the field using the color, they tend to go straight to the tube. I really recommend that you start off with the clear and add color in there. That'll give you a little bit more of a dynamic range from light to dark, and it'll help you kind of create your own customized color. Certainly you can't go straight from the tube onto the hair, but one of my favorite things about the Aveda color line in general is the customization. And so start off with the clear, add the Vibrant to the clear, and you're gonna get a little bit more interesting results. I'm gonna dampen this hair down again. It got a little bit dry. Now I like to use my comb when I'm doing this. I don't always, especially around the face. So I'll dampen the comb, boom, 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 and then I'll use that to apply the water, and that prevents me from kind of spraying my client or my model in the face, which they typically don't love. Okay? Nice, even tension. Now, a lot of people are kind of freaked out by the ear. I don't worry too much about the ear. It's there, but it's slightly off of the ear, right? So if I put her head down, it's not on the ear like this. It's kind of just off. So there's a little bit of space there, so I don't have to worry too much about putting in a gap or a hole. And I just go right over it. Because I'm doing a razor bob and I'm gonna pull all this down to this one section, I don't have to worry too much about creating a gap in the hair. It's a little different than scissor cutting. Next section. You guys see good? Perfect. I really want to make sure this is nice and flat and even. Cool. I'm going to go back just a little bit, try to catch that guide underneath. You don't want to have too much hair. That's about as much density as you want in your hair. If it's too thick, you can't see it. And if it's too thin, you're not creating any texture. So you want to have enough hair where you can see the guide, so you can almost not see the guide there. It's almost too much, it's gonna work. You can see the guide, then I can push through it. If you do too much, you're just gonna kind of chew at the hair, and you're not gonna get the pretty texture that you can get with the razor bob. You'll notice this is unguarded. There's no guard on this. You know, people freak out about that. As long as I'm not coming across, you know, my hands like this, it's gonna be fine. If I just lightly tap it, it won't break the skin. So you'll see it's unguarded, and that really allows my rhythm to be consistent and nice. So I don't cut with the guard. I know that varies from state to state. If you feel uncomfortable cutting guard free, then by all means put a guard on. I tend not to. I get the best results, to each his own. So I got that back done. I'm gonna kind of come in here. Focus over the ear first. Getting my razor moving before I come in contact with the hair. Nice. And again, you can see it's a nice bob, nice line, slightly diffused. A few more sections, and then we're going to go to the back, make sure that's nice and clean. And then we're going to do a little bit of thermal styling the blow dryer and some of the new Nutriplenish leave-in conditioner, which I'm obsessed with. This stuff is amazing. A lot of leave-in conditioners on the market. This one is definitely my favorite, and I like it because it's light but effective. So I can use it on a variety of hair types and get great results without feeling like I've weighed the hair down. Just comes away there. We've got one more, maybe two more sections left on the sides. And we'll have a little look at the front. And you can see, I hope you guys can see this sort of beautiful color, this Aveda Vibrance that Loopy did. Aveda Vibrance and Dim Eye, and I wish Loopy was here to talk to you guys about it, but this looks black, it's not black, it's actually 3N. So it's a dark brown. For most people, if you put a dark brown in the hair, you'll get a look that feels black, but it won't be black, 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 which is can sometimes be a little too extreme. You can see some of this sort of color kind of peeking through here, and you can see some of these like little bits of color streaks. And that's sort of what, to me, is one of the features of this type of color. It's not a hard line. It's diffused, right? And it's far enough down where it looks certainly intentional, but it almost gives it kind of like a pixelated kind of look. And I love seeing this under color come out. And you'll see the sectioning later when I produce that video. Super beautiful. All right, push your head down. Thank you. Again, I'm not really too concerned about the back right now. I just want to get this front for you guys. Start to move my razor.
Question popping in about the stroke of the razor that you're using and the tension you're using.
Yes. So tension is really coming from my comb. So I'm one of those people that, well, like all of us, you know, the tension in my hand is going to vary. If it's the first client in the morning, I'm going to be like maybe not as like tough as I am afternoon, or if I have a lot of coffee and my tension might vary. So I really try to reduce those variables when I'm cutting by letting the tool provide the tension, right? So I've always used a nice comb. I like YS Park. These are the 339s. And I like it because it has these fine teeth and the wide teeth, right? So these fine teeth are extremely precise and very consistent. Even if I use another comb, so here's two colors. It's the same model. The teeth are the same, right? And so because this is consistent, if I just simply place this in the hair, it's going to give me the same tension every single time. So my hand follows the comb. It hasn't grabbed the hair. I'm not touching the hair. I'm just following it. And now I grab it at the very end. Okay? That's what I would do for scissor cutting. Same thing with razor cutting. Follow it past my guide. I can see my guide here. And I start to take the hair away. It's like I'm erasing hair. A lot of times I see combing inconsistencies because of how you put the comb in the hair. So I see a lot of scooping, right? This motion. I don't do any of that. The comb goes straight in and comes straight down, and that gives me consistency. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of just do a little peek and see where we're at. Now it's going to look slightly different because I've got one side that's drier than the other. Let me just see if I got pretty close to balance. I think this is going to pop up a little bit when we finish. But I'm just going to let that air dry.
Everybody is loving this makeup on our model tonight.
It's super beautiful, and yeah, I've really been enjoying some of the new lines coming out of Aveda lately. The color's been really beautiful, and I love the idea that the makeup that I put on my model or my client's face is made from plants. You know, women and men, when you're wearing makeup, you eat it. And so I want to have products on my body that are natural, so that everything in my system is natural. So I love the type of performance we can get with Aveda makeup, and I love that it's all made from plants. Okay, so now I've got the back, and I'm just going to see, you can see about a little bit of overhang from our previous haircut. I'm going to blend that into the existing length. Now, because she has so much density here, I did an undercut here, which you can see, right? A little bit of undercut. It's not for any type of aesthetic other than I want this to sit in and float a little bit better. So I didn't do any designs in it. I know that's a big trend, and I certainly do that occasionally. It's fun. But in this particular situation, it was 100% functional. So it's just a simple, neat undercut, balanced. It's going to help this tuck in. Another thing about her density and the amount of it is I'm going to be a lot more aggressive with the razor than I would be starting out, or if she had less hair, right? So the shape is in there, the bob line looks nice and strong. So I'm just going to kind of allow that to be what it is, and I'm going to start to razor a little bit more aggressively. Pull this down. Love this color. And I think that for me, this whole vibrance line that came out, man, it's like, it's kind of crazy. You know, when you think about what Aveda's doing with plants and the type of vibrancy, I think vibrance is the perfect name for it, right? The type of vibrancy you can see with nature, I think to me that's so wonderful, and I love working with a brand that is always focused on my health, my well-being, and creating, you know, really great science, really great technology with using plants. It's hard, it's not easy, but the end results have been great.
Tim, when we have a chance, can we show the undercut again, please?
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that right now. Just a simple little undercut. And again, that's what's that doing is you're getting, show up in natural. You're getting a slight little bevel here. That's one part is with the bob and the razor, but also because that undercut gives the hair somewhere to push into. Almost finished the back. Hair got a little dry over here. I'm gonna dampen it down again. Doesn't have to be soaking wet, it just needs to be evenly damp. Evenly damp. If it's too wet, it doesn't really work well with the razor. I can see my guide, I move my blade. And really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to live on the flat of the blade. So I'm not coming on the edge, I'm kind of resting it here. And that allows for me to get more texture. That's kind of the neat thing about the razor is it's so varied and you can do so much with it. It's not just one tool going through. How you adjust that angle, what elements of the blade are coming in contact with the hair, all that changes it. So you can kind of see the kind of fun texture we have there. Almost finished the top. I'll give you guys a full look. And then I do a lot of social media stuff, as you may or may not know. I'm on the artistic team for social media, so everything I do is social media oriented. So I actually have a guy that I have styled very similar, and Jordan, who's gonna also be a model for me after this. So we'll get some shots of two brunettes, one with amazing color, and both in styled sort of blazers and black turtlenecks. You can see my guide through here, using the flat of the blade. Come back over to this side, you can see that little bit of overhang. Clips, boom. It feels a little dry. Again, I'm just going to dampen it. Spin it around just a little bit for me. Should be the last section here, and then I'll kind of give it a general texturizing on top using a technique called tipping. And that's where I go in with the tip of the blade to remove weight without putting holes or notches. So it's not a notch type of execution. Moving my blade, using the flat of the blade, really trying to maximize the amount of texture. I'm at the very top of the head. I've got my foundation. Spin her around a little bit for you. Again, just a little bit dry. See my guide. Nice even tension, letting the comb do the work for me. I'm just grabbing. I really want the hair to kind of fall into natural position, like where it wants to be. So I'm not over directing or anything. It's like the natural fall of the hair is exactly where I want it. Because that's where it's gonna be, right? So I'm not forcing it, over directing it. Put your head in a natural position again for me. Oh, nice little stretch. I should have just like a little bit of work right there, a little bit of overhang. Let me take that away. And now what I'm gonna do is just go through and tip. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the hair, sort of parallel to the hair shaft, and take a little bit of excess down. A little bit of overhang here, that one little piece. I'm gonna take it technically. I'm gonna go through section by section. I'm not just gonna chop it. Comb goes straight in, straight down. Just one little bit of overhang. All right, so now I'm going to tip the hair. I'm going to go through, and I always like to do sort of opposite texturization, right? So I did something square, or if I do something A-line, going from the back to the front, then I actually start in the front and I take round sections. To me, that kind of just gives the hair a little bit of extra movement, a little bit of extra texture, and I feel like it helps the hair not be stuck in one position. And that means when she is walking around or shaking her hair, it'll kind of move around a little bit more freely. Tip of the blade is going through, and you'll notice that my line is still there, but it's just ever so finer. Next section here. Again, tip of the blade. Moving back in. I'm not hitting the perimeter. This is all the interior of the head. Use my wide teeth to kind of shake the hair out. Last little section, and we'll do the other side. Nice and clean. Now we'll go to the other side. Same idea. Everything was squared, moving to the front. Now I'm going to go diagonal back and handle this round. Just using the tip of the blade, just lightly interacting with the hair. And you can see there's my line. Here's the hair pulled away and the line is still there. Diagonal back, and then come down here just a little bit deeper. Get a little bit more texture in this back area, give it some more looseness. A couple more sections to go. Holding the hair out. You know, I'm holding the hair out so I'm not interacting with the hair underneath, right? So all this hair here is safe. So I can go in and not worry about compromising my perimeter. One more step back here. One last little bit. And then we'll have a look together and kind of check it out. I'm just doing somewhat of almost a razor cross track. Look out for me. I want this to be balanced. I'm just gonna go through and just make sure I've got a little bit more, just a tiny little bit of hair here. Nothing major. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Lift this up, check it out. Extra tipping. Lift this up, check it out. A little bit of extra tipping. And then we're good. So I'm gonna go in with the new Neutral Plenish. I guess first I'm gonna get some of this loose hair out. I'm gonna do a little bit of this Neutral Plenish leave-in, just as a moisturizing base. Like I said, it's pretty light, so I don't have to worry about overdoing it. This has been moving like crazy in the salons. Our clients are loving it, our stylists are loving it, and the smell is great. Really impressed with the technology here. This is definitely one of my favorite products that Aveda's ever done. And now I'm going to go through with a little bit of volumizing tonic as a lightweight holding agent. And then I'm just going to kind of let her dry, and we're going to work with Jordan. What I'm doing is I'm kind of just I want the roots to be nice and shiny. But I want them to be textured, so I'm kind of brushing this out. And that's getting the Neutral Plenish evenly distributed throughout the hair shaft. And then what I'll do is I'll go back through and kind of scrunch the hair up. I like to use my clips a little bit too. I'll take a clip and I'll put it right there. It's a little bit of a bend. And another one on the other side, just to kind of exaggerate the fringe here. I'm just gonna shake that out. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna let her dry. I'm gonna finish up my cut with Jordan with you guys too. All right, let's swap positions. All right, Jordan, you ready? Now with Jordan, we did a full razor cut on the sides. I did all the sides for you. Now I just have this top here that I have to deal with, right? So I love the razor for this kind of like pomp look. It's kind of like a bang for a guy, like a fringe for a guy, this long look, and it's disconnected. So I'm not gonna connect the sides to the top. I'm gonna bring everything back. Yeah, actually I'll take a little bit of the Neutral Plenish just to go ahead and prep the hair with that.
So somebody's asking, what was the first product that you guys used for the first model?
Yeah, so we really just kind of kept it simple. We did Neutral Plenish for a moisturizing agent, and then we did volumizing tonic. So these are the two products we use. Volumizing tonic, classic, Aveda, and Neutral Plenish, brand new. This stuff smells so good, I wish you could smell it through the phone. You can't. Go to an Aveda salon, check it out, it's amazing. Super great for all hair types. Again, lightweight but effective. All right, so I got Jordan, and you can see the discrepancy in the length here, right? So here's the length we did just a few minutes ago, and this overhang. So I'm gonna do this pretty simple. I'm gonna take horizontal sections, straight across. I'll show you guys that in 1 second. Put this hair out of the way. Jordan's a little bit taller than Caroline, so I'm gonna lower his chair. That was loud. I'm sorry, we should have oiled that first. I'm gonna hold this straight out. Let's see my guide. Hold it straight out where the last bit of the guide was, and I'm just gonna start to take it away. And I'm gonna repeat this all the way through the top until I run out of hair. So the longest bit will be the very front. And one of the reasons why I used a razor as opposed to a scissor is because I like the softness of the razor. Jordan did not want to have a kind of a classic barbered look, you know, so he didn't want a nice taper, like a faded taper like I typically have. He wanted it softer. So this allows me to get a more softer finish on the edges, and that's why I like to use the razor in this particular situation. I don't use it on all my guys, or all my girls really, but when the moment's right, when I need soft texture and I need movement, it's my go-to. Just kind of blending that in. And with this hair, once I get to this top, the apex of the head, you'll start to notice that I become a little bit more on the flat of the blade. I'm creating more texture because that's where the density is heaviest. I'm gonna have Jordan slightly lift his head up. The hair is just falling away. Next section, again, just being completely horizontal on the top. And then when I finish, I'm going to go through with my scissors and just check that off to make sure it's still nice and neat. Head up just a little bit more. So he's looking pretty much straight up in the air. And I'm just riding the hair on the flat of the blade. You know, a lot of people get afraid about this. They're worried, oh, is the blade, you know, they're worried about leaving it on the hair. The blade's not doing anything when it goes up. It's only on the downstroke that it's cutting. So I'll actually rest it on the hair in some situations to maximize the amount of texture. That's what I'm doing right now. It's just that last little bit of the ends that's getting the texture. And it's really a unique thing. Again, I wish we could kind of have an experience through the phone. If you were to feel this, the middle of the hair is different than the ends. It's finer on the ends. And that tactile experience can be really intoxicating for a client. They love the way it feels and how it moves. And that's something you can't do with the scissor. So when I get to the scissor element of the haircut, you're going to see me do some sort of kind of slicing and pushing the blade through to kind of simulate that slight tear that you get with the razor. I'm pretty much done with the razor. Now I'm going to go through. You can see the profile just being natural. So if you look at his profile, we got a nice shape here. Because it's the razor, I've taken all that bulk out. Now what I'm going to do is go through.
I have a question from Kathy Spadea. I don't know if you would use the razor to cut wavy or curly hair too.
That's a great question. So for me, I don't. I think about it's not necessarily the hair type; it's what the ends are like, right? So if the ends are weak, then I probably need to add strength. So I don't need to use the razor. I might want to use a scissor. If the ends are dense and I need to kind of create more texture, more softness, weaken the hair, then I will use the razor. So for curly hair, I have to say, hey, how much texture is there? Is it super texturized already? Is it like a level 4C, a really coily curl? Well, then I probably don't need to use the razor. It's got plenty of texture in there. You know, it really depends on the hair type, and so it's kind of hard to say through the phone, oh, this is the type of hair you can use. But I do cut wavy hair, curly hair with the razor. Typically, I'm using more of the edge of the blade instead of the flat. And so that prevents me from doing too much texture. So you can see I'm using, these are dry cutting shears. And so you can see with these shears, there's a slight little kind of bend to the shears. It's not perfectly straight. So that allows for it to go through much easier. I kind of thought that dry cutting shears were BS, and then I used them and I realized quickly that they are totally not. There is something to the blade technology and the execution of the edge of the blade that makes something cut better on dry hair than wet. And this is kind of damp hair, so it's kind of in between. But what's nice about it is it kind of gives it that soft razor effect without pulling and snagging the hair. So same thing with Jordan. We did a little bit. We did a little bit of the Nutriplenish. I'm also going to go through and do a little bit of volumizing tonic for him. I'm just going to blow dry this very front portion of that hair. He's got a little bit of a cowlick in the front, a little bit of strong growth, and so I want to diminish that as quickly as possible with it being wet. We'll start the back. Matthew, is this okay? This angle?
Beautiful.
Just scoot on this a little bit. Just focusing on the roots, working my way back, and then I'm going to finish this hair with the Aveda Men's thickening. I love the thickening paste. I think it's amazing. It's soft, it's supple. Even on guys with thick hair, I like using it because it's very forgiving. Lifting up. And on the other side.
Another tool question coming in about that brush you're using.
Yeah.
What kind of brush is that?
This is a vest brush. It's like a classic, kind of like your old school Denman, if you will, but it's a little bit of a different pitch here. It's ceramic, and then the tips here have little balls on them, and so they're not as scratchy, right, as like a pointed brush. All the products today are Aveda, and then pretty much all the tools are Elevate Hair. So if you're interested in this, if you're interested in the scissors, blow dryers, clips, combs, all that stuff is at shopelevatehair.com. And we have them now. Just finishing up the back here. He's got a good bit of overhang on some spots, and so I'm going to go back through with my shears and kind of clean those up. Didn't want a big change with the length, and so I wanted to do something softer, but you can see some of this stuff is just like a little bit too much of an overhang. You can see that there. See that here? So even though it's disconnected, I want to give it a little bit more of a visual connection. I'm going to go through and kind of tear at the hair a little bit more. Put that away. And then once I finish, like I said, I'm going to use that Aveda thickening paste. It's like my favorite. A lot of stuff I do is for editorial, right? So I need the hair to be forgiving. I need for me to do a style and then change the style. So I don't like to use a lot of heavy products. I like things to be light. In a salon setting, that might be different. In a salon setting, I'm from New Orleans, from the South. It's really humid there. It's really hot. Sometimes I'm doing a style, and that style has to last all day. Well, then I'm using a different product application than if I'm trying to do a photo shoot. And I need the look to last for one click. And so I think about things differently behind the chair versus behind the camera. We're going to be shooting Jordan after this, and so I'm thinking a lot about how is it going to work from the shoot perspective. Same idea, I'm kind of pushing through and slightly tearing the hair and closing the blade down as I move through. One little bit, it's a little too long, you can see it. There it is. Where's that hair coming from? Now that I've got the top kind of where I wanted, I'm going to come back through here. And then a point cut. I did razor work, so I don't want to come through and go blunt. I want it to be soft. There we go. There's that little bit of extra length, little transition spot that I missed. And when you're cutting, I think it's important to go back through the hair wet, dry to make sure there's no elements that you missed. The hair's different when it's dry. So you'll see me, if you're watching behind the chair, I do the haircut wet, then I dry it, and then I kind of reassess it and make sure it's all working. Again, point cutting this line away. Same thing here. And then I'll go through the front. If this falls forward, what is it going to look like? When Jordan wakes up in the morning, his hair has to look good too, especially if he has company, So we got to make sure that looks good for him. So just take that little extra bit of a point off. So I'm going to go back through and push this back. And with the volumizing tonic, I get a little bit of lift here, which is nice. I'm going to go through with my thickening paste. It's it's very soft, very light. Take it, work it in my hands. I don't want to get too, it kind of disappears. If it's too much, then it'll look a little white. So you want to kind of just work it through your hands until it's invisible. And I'll start to work this back. Again, what I like about this, as opposed to like a heavier gel or heavier, paste, is that it's very forgiving. So I don't lose any of that kind of nice volume that we got with the blow dry. I'm just going to kind of look at stylistically. I like what's happening here, so I'm going to kind of go with that slightly to the side look. And push this back. Carolyn, you want to come over here? Sure. So I'm going to show you guys the finished look with both of my models. Want to stand up there? Move this chair. Right here. Take these guys out. And then after this, we're going to go shoot. So we'll take photos of all this. Just try a little bit messy. Beautiful color, beautiful makeup. Cuts all right too.
A lot of love coming in for both of these models right now.
Yay. All right, beautiful. So Billie Eilish color, razor bob, using the Nutriplenish Daily Leave-In, as well as volumizing tonic. And then same product application for Jordan, except we did a little bit of this thickening paste to kind of give it a little bit of hold. Beautiful, and I've just been sort of playing around with a bit more conservative looks. I know I do elevate a lot, and so a lot of that's punk rock. So I'm trying to do a little bit of a contrast between, more playful, vibrant type of looks, aggressive hair cutting, but then kind of toning it down. We'll put a blazer on both of these models and shoot them. So look out on Adaveda Artist, and I'll have the video that we did with Loopy with the color. I'll show some post photos of this shoot, and share this with your friends at Hairbrained. Have a great night, guys.